today's going to be my attempt at spotlighting a band that's been near and dear to me for a great many years, probably since I was about 18 years old. But before I get into that, I just want to give a quick shout out to Ottavio. Guess I'm Just a Spud Boy is his channel. And right now he's got a great series going. It's called It Came From Canada, where he's spotlighting Canadian music bands in general. And it's just a great series. Bands he's been talking about, some of them are popular right now, some of them are almost long forgotten, but in any case, all these bands are important to Canadian music history, and it's just a great series all the way around. I know he was thinking about talking about this band as well, and I'm hoping that by my doing a video on them, it doesn't discourage him from doing it, because Ottavio has such a knowledge base up there, and he knows so much about the little things too that you wouldn't ever, you would never know. And I'm just hoping that he does his take on this group as well. Anyway, without further ado, the band I'm going to talk about is, like I said, it's from my hometown, and they all went to school together at Westdale High School in Hamilton, Ontario. They formed in 1975, not out of friendship, but more out of similar taste in music. And that group is Teenage Head. And this is their debut album from 1979. It can definitely be classified as a punk record. And it's all original music as well. So there's no covers on here whatsoever. It's all stuff that they wrote, they've played, and the tunes on here are just great. There's not a tune on here that I don't like. The production, however, though, is a little weak. It was done on a private record label, Interglobal Music, which is a subsidiary of Epic Records. And actually, there's the inner sleeve there. And lyrics. And there's the record label, IGM. I don't know of any other bands on that label or that recorded on that label. Maybe somebody out there might know. And it's long gone label anyway. It's no longer around for many, many, many years. So that's the album, the first album, and there's the flip side of what the band kind of looked like at the time. And start here. We have Nixed Pan, the drummer, bass player Steve Mann, lead vocalist Frank Kerr, who later went on to become Frankie Venom, and Gord Lewis on guitar. Very talented band from Hamilton, and this record was in rotation on my turntable when I was in my late teens, early 20s for the longest time. It's probably my most played album that I own. Although I don't own that original copy anymore. Although this one is an original, I had to replace it. The one I had was just beat up so bad from overplaying and over abuse that I needed to get a replacement. So this one, found on eBay about 6 years ago. Fantastic record. Teenage Head's first album was also reissued as well. It was reissued, I'm not sure exactly when, but I think it was a few years after the original in 1979. And the cover looks pretty much the same. The colors are a little bit, I don't know, a little bit more intense, I guess, or darker, I'm not sure. The back is quite a bit different, though. It's the same picture, but it's got a black border around it. You can compare the two here. Now this one is on Goon Island Records, and God knows who they are, who they were. Doesn't have a year on here, so that's why I don't know when this actually was released. But it's kind of cool in that, well, for one, on the label, you got a nice pink label there with Teenage Head, and all the track listed on the one side, and then the flip side has an actual photograph or picture of the album cover on that side. So that's kind of cool. Also, whoever mixed this album has actually kind of made it sound better. It's been remixed. Sound quality has been enhanced on all tracks. The only thing I don't really care about is that they've changed the order of the tracks on this album compared to the first one. So if I really had to choose between the two, which one I like better between the two, I would have to say I'm used to the original pressing, the original release, and I'm used to that sound. I'm used to that track listing, so I have to go with that one. Although this was a nice find, and it too comes with a lyric sheet. Interesting, it's a little bit different, but it's got the picture there with the lyrics over top. And on the back, you got an offer for some Teenage Head t-shirts, which I thought was kind of cool too. So overall, a nice find and nice addition to my Teenage Head collection. Teenage Head at this time in '79 hadn't really had a breakthrough yet. That really wasn't a breakthrough album for them. But things were about to change with their second album called Frantic City. And this album spawned a couple hits in Ontario, Something on My Mind and Let's Shake, which were both released on the same 45. And so one was the flip side to the other, and they both received about equal airplay on the radio. And I would say they were good songs, but not their best songs in this record. This record is just loaded with great songs. And if you've ever been a fan of the movie The Exorcist, well, there's a song on here. It's called Disgust Teen. It's the last song on the record, and they used this song to close many of their shows as well, with a great guitar solo in it. But what identifies this song more so is Frankie Venom's vocals. He does a little segment in the middle of the tune where he's mimicking the demon that's from The Exorcist, with Linda Blair and all that, and he does an excellent job with it. And it really does suit the music on the record as well. But this is a great record. It's got some cool covers on here. Wild One, you may remember Iggy Pop doing a version of this. Well, this version is basically the same song, but it's really performed differently. And to me, this is the best version of Wild One, period, of all the artists who might have done it. Also, they do a great cover of Eddie Cochran's Something Else as well. But overall, there's not a bad track on this record, and it's really hard for me to pick as to which is my favorite, this one or the first one. They are quite a bit different in some respects. Production-wise, this is much, much better, much cleaner sounding. But the first album is the one that really made me fall in love with the band, so it's really, I love that record as well, but it's really hard for me to choose. If I had to take one with me, like if I was going to a desert island or something by myself, which one would I take? It's almost impossible to choose. But this, I would recommend this record for anybody who wants a starting point as far as what's Teenage Head all about. You get this record first, because this record really tells the story. And after this was released, shortly after this was released, they had a semi-riot happen. There's a place in Toronto called Ontario Place that it's like an amusement park, a family place to go, and they have a venue there, where they have bands, not necessarily rock, but just bands in general who go play there for free. So there's free concerts there. There was free concerts there all the time. Teenage Head was one of those free concerts, but it happened. They did this concert right after the release of this record, and they caused a mini riot. And because of that, rock bands in general were turned away from playing at Ontario Place for many years, and Teenage Head were never allowed to ever go back there ever again. They were banned for life. And but again, that's what kind of popularity had done. They had really, had a huge amount of success with this record that they became instantly popular all over the place. So, and shortly after that concert, they came back to Hamilton to their hometown to do a show there at a place called the Double Rinks Arena. And in the north end of Hamilton, kind of the bad part of town. And my brother and I were listening to some late night radio station, and we actually won tickets to go see them. And little did I know at that time that when I went to see the show, that my soon-to-be wife was at the same show. We discovered this, quite a few years back. But at that time, I would have been 19, and she would have been probably 14 at the time. So it wasn't until about 15 years later that we actually met up. And I was never one for saving ticket stubs or anything like that, but she did save her ticket from that show. And it's one of those tickets you had to, it came with a sticky back, and you stuck it to your shirt, and you had to have it on your shirt the whole time you were watching the show. So here it is. Here's her ticket, and it shows Teenage Head at the Double Rinks Arena, and the opening band was a band called New Toys. And Monday, July 14th. Now, it doesn't have the year on there, but I'm almost positive it was 1980 that we saw them, because it was right after the release of Frantic City, which was 1980 as well. So I was really happy that she had saved this ticket, and I could kind of show it in this video. So that's kind of where we didn't meet there, but we eventually did meet. And she is a Teenage Head fan just like I am. So it's a great piece of of interest for me and my wife that we were both at the same show. So Teenage Head continued their success with their next album called Some Kind of Fun, although not to quite the same degree. The album was kind of cut from the same cloth, same kind of production, but it wasn't as accepted as much with the hardcore fans. Definitely it was. Teenage Head has a stream of hardcore fans. They had a very strong cult following. They always have. But for maybe some of the newer fans that they gained with Frantic City, they weren't quite as impressed with this outing. In my mind, though, it's pretty much as good as Frantic City. The title track, Some Kind of Fun, is one of my favorite Teenage Head songs. It's a great, great party tune. Originally done by Chris Montez. I have that 45 as well. It's quite a different way. They perform it quite differently than what Teenage Head does, but it's a great tune, and it's a great party tune. And I'm going to attach a link on the bottom of the video to show you them performing this song in a live venue. And it's if you want to see Teenage Head live, this song really demonstrates what they were all about as a live band. So I encourage you to take a look at that. And there's the back cover there. So you got Frankie and Steve and Gord and Nick. Another great record. And I should point out too that both of these albums, Frantic City and Some Kind of Fun, are on the Attic label, which is a Canadian label. A Canadian label that did have some American bands on it too. Like I know I have some George Thorogood albums that are on the Attic label. In the States he was on Rounder Records, but in Canada he was on Attic Records. So Attic was a pretty good label to be with, actually, at the time. Weren't widespread, they weren't Americanized, but they were one of Canada's top labels. I should also say too, I forgot to mention that before this album came out, in between Frantic City and Some Kind of Fun, Teenage Head were planning on embarking their very first U.S. tour, and this was going to be a very big deal for them, because this was going to be their chance to spread their music across the United States, and it never happened. And the reason for that was Gord, he broke his back in a car accident, and that sidelined him for a long, long time. So that one chance they had to do the U.S. tour was kind of dashed away, and they never got that chance again. By the time they decided to record this album, it was still iffy as to whether Gord was going to be back, but he did make it back in time to record Some Kind of Fun. So, third album. Fourth album, Teenage Head did land a recording contract with a U.S. label, but just for one record. The sales or the results of the album were not great. So I guess their contract was not renewed, because they didn't do another record under that label, but that was MCA Records. Now if you notice too, the name's a little bit different. It says Teenage Heads instead of Teenage Head, and that was due to the record company insisting that they change their name, because Teenage Head The record company didn't feel that that was conducive to what they were trying to present, as far as you know, socially or whatever. So Teenage Head had to change their name for this record, and it's actually a 6-song EP. I would rate the songs good to very good. You can see it's on the Rainbow MCA label. But again, it wasn't as accepted with the fans as much as they had hoped. Sales weren't as good as they hoped, so they were dropped from the MCA label after this record. Their follow-up to that was a live album, which is a fantastic record, and it's called Endless Party. Hard to come across these guys. They're becoming more and more rare. This one is in mint condition, and it's a live record that with a bonus track, a bonus studio track at the end, and it's on a different label again. And I believe Octavio mentioned this label in a couple of videos ago, and it's hard to see what's on the bottom there. It's Ready Records. It's just a black label. And the inner sleeve has many of the albums that were available on Ready Records at the time. Blue Peter, Manteca, Santers, The Spoons, The Extras, Fergus Hambleton, Battered Wives. They were a punk rock Canadian band as well. So Ready Records did have quite a few acts on their label at the time. It was a great live album, and but it was actually the last real album where all 4 members were they were a 4-member solidified band with the original members, because things started to change after that. Their next album was on a different label again. This one's called Teenage Head Trouble in the Jungle. Now, aside from the fact that it really didn't get much critical acclaim, it wasn't very popular. Again, it might have been due to the distribution process of the record label or whatever. I think this is a great record. I've always liked this one. It kind of returns them back to their less polished sound of their first album. A little bit different in the lineup of the band, though. We still have Frankie, Frankie, Gord, Steve. We don't have Nick anymore. We do have Dave Rave. Now, Dave Rave is a musician from Hamilton. He's very well known. He's been in several bands. He's been on the Hamilton scene for many, many years, and he still is, as far as I know. And the reason Nick was in the process of leaving the band, although he wasn't an official member of Teenage Head at the time, he does get credit on the back as being additional musician. So even though, you know, he's an additional musician, he's still the drummer on the record. So that never changed. So it really is still Teenage Head, as I know and love them, who recorded this album. But I guess at the time when they were touring or whatever, Nick probably wasn't part of the band. They probably had another drummer in there filling in. So, but this album, I really like this record. It's got some original music, and it's also got some covers, some great covers of a couple Elvis tunes, Little Sister and I Need Your Love Tonight. Also Weekend, too. Weekend, I believe, was Eddie Cochran. And the record is very well done, as far as I'm concerned, and this one, too, is very hard to find anymore in this kind of shape. So I was very, very happy to find a copy of this, probably about 5 years ago now. Great record. The album next is Teenage Head Electric Guitar. Good songs, good production, but it's missing something. And what it's missing is it's missing Frankie Venom. Frankie Venom leaves the band. Dave Rave now becomes lead vocalist. And Nick is no longer with the band on this record as well. It's not a bad collection of tunes. You know, it's very listenable. But to me, it's not really Teenage Head. So, although I like it, it doesn't compare with their earlier stuff. Cool album cover, though, the guitar. And the guitar is on the front. Okay, next album up, Teenage Head kind of reunite. We don't have Nick, but we do have Frankie. He comes back to the band in 1996 with this album called Head Disorder, and Teenage Head is attempting to make a comeback with this disc. There is no LP version of it, and for the most part, it's not too bad. Head Disorder is probably the best track on the album, and they really are trying to return back to their Frantic City, some kind of fun days with this record. I just found that the tracks in general were not particularly that strong, so this is one that I have in my collection, but I could take it or leave it. But because I'm a Teenage Head fan, it's got to be in my collection. The last disc that they produced together as a band, and this is again, there's no Nick, but there's the other 3 original members, is an album that they collaborated with a famous drummer from the Ramones, Marky Ramone, and he plays drums on this album. And not only that, but Daniel Ray, who is produced many of the Ramones albums, is the producer of this CD as well, and that's Teenage Head with Marky Ramone. Now, this came out in 2008. It's the last piece of work that Teenage Head put out on disc or vinyl or any format for that matter. And it's actually a collection of all their older material from their first and second and third albums in particular. Those first 3 albums, they've re-recorded them, and they've kind of brought back that sound from the first album. It's kind of rough, a raw sound, unpolished, but in my mind, Teenage Head. That's the way Teenage Head should sound. And I really, really, really love this CD, and I was really looking forward to further stuff coming out from Teenage Head after this was released. But it wasn't long after this came out that the news came out that Frankie Venom had died of throat cancer. And I was shocked when I heard the news. He's always been a long time hero of mine. The band in general is just a hero of mine. It's not necessarily Frankie, but Frankie was integral in Teenage Head as making the Teenage Head sound. So it was very, very sad to hear that. And Teenage Head is still a band. Apparently, they're still working out there. They got a different vocalist, but it's not going to be the same anymore for me, anyway. The last album I want to show you is actually a bootleg, and I bought this on eBay about 4 years ago, and there's still copies out there. I punched it up the other day, and they're still selling these things. So I don't know how many were pressed. And it's called Teenage Head King Street Teddy Boys. There's a great picture of Frankie on the front there. And there's the back cover. There's a song Teenage Head do called Kissing the Carpet, which is off their first album. Great song. They've misspelled it on the back of this bootleg. It's called They got Kissing the Capet. They left the R out for some reason, by accident or whatever. But anyway, it's still what it is. It's a collection of live tunes that they recorded prior to their very first record at small venues and stuff like that, colleges, whatnot. Sound quality, again, very rough. I don't know it's probably, like I said, it's all bootleg stuff. But still, I found it to be a very interesting listen because you really get an idea of what the band sounded like, before they were actually, a recording band. So I thought it was very cool. And it's on this kind of greenish, clear Coke bottle type vinyl with a white label. It says "Not for Sale," promo use only, and it also says "Made in the USA." So whoever is these guys is from across the border, and they've been selling them for quite a long time on eBay. So he's probably making a pretty good dollar on them too. So anyway, that's my take on Teenage Head. I encourage everybody to check them out. I posted some links down below, and when I was in my 20s, I just could not get enough of this group, and I still will throw on Frantic City, and it's like I'm 20 again or 19 again, and it's just great to listen to. So again, I just want to thank everybody for watching, and I got a lot of new subscribers recently. I don't know why, because I haven't really been posting any videos, but I thank everybody who's subscribed to me, and I want to say I hope everybody out in the VC is doing well, and we'll talk to you guys later. Take care for now.